Hey everybody, this is Nate Smoyer, and you're listening to the Tech Nest Podcast. This is the show where we sit down with the leaders in real estate and technology to find out what they're doing to transform the way we buy, sell, and invest in real estate. If you've got an interest in real estate and technology, stick around. You're in the right place.
Well, hey Natalia, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you Nate for having me today.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking the time to join me. I'm excited to talk about what you're doing because what you guys are creating is the first I know of that what the platform, what you guys have. And I don't want to give it away. I just don't want to give any hints. So before I give anything away, I want you to start it off here. Let's get started with the basics. Please go ahead, introduce yourself, let everyone know who you are and what you do.
Sure, absolutely. My name is Natalia Karayaneva. I'm the founder of Propy. I used to be a real estate developer and a software developer for many years. And 4 years ago, I moved to Silicon Valley to develop Propy. It's a transactional marketplace with property settlement protocol. In simple language, we automate the home purchase process.
All right. There's going to be a lot to unpack there because there's so much manual, tedious, boring work in the real estate transaction process. So I think the way I want to try and unpack this, because first off, I have to give whoever wrote the script to your explainer video. And for everyone listening, if you want to go to propy.com, you can see it. The explainer video is brilliant. It is so well done. It's easy to understand what they do watching the video. So I want to walk us through. So walk me through here. What is the process of using Propy to buy a property? And then from there, we'll kind of go off on different tangents.
Yeah, so Propy platform could be used by agents and by consumers. So I can explain from one of the sites. And yes, you're right. There is a very short 2-minute video on Propy.com on homepage that illustrates the process from the point of agent, consumer, and the escrow company. Shortly, all the entities, all the parties in a transaction come together in one platform and they close a paperwork. So they accept offers, send counter offers, review disclosures, sign all those documents with DocuSign integrated. Then a title company uploads title report, settlements, and also they get signed on the platform. And because all the documents are signed on one platform, it's ultimately the storage for the agent and for the consumer for all the transaction data. Then we also facilitate the payment to avoid wire transfer, wire fraud. And then in the end of the transaction, the buyer receives the title deed. And on this title deed, there is a blockchain address on it that tracks all previous steps of the transaction.
All right. So like I said, and there's just so much in there. And some of this I want to get to talking about blockchain because one of these days in my head, it's going to click. I'm going to get it. But let's start with this. Who is using Propy? Who is it for?
So it's for the consumer, for the agent, and ultimately we're selling it to brokerages and real estate developers because brokerages need data, real-time data on what their agents are closing right now, how they've been closing at the past period so that they can predict future periods.
Why is now the time to focus on something like this? I mean, I hear lots of real estate agents saying they don't need these new things. They've seen this before. It's all a fad. Just go out and sell. Why bother?
Well, the time is perfect right now because everything is getting digitized, including real estate, and agents are using over 20 online tools to close one transaction. They are already using e-signatures, primarily with DocuSign and other e-signatures. They have to use storages as Dropbox, Google Drive. Very often they don't know how to use them. They leave those links open and get the transaction data open to hackers. And so there are so many tools that agents have to remember logins and pay to them that we decided that it's perfect time when the agent is already tech driven just to bring all those favorite tools in one place and make sure the closing is secure.
Yeah. And, I always like to reflect on my short period of time where I like to say I lived or suffered through as a real estate agent. But you're right. There was so many tools and things to get the job done. And one thing that made it even more complicated was when the other agent on the other side of the deal didn't use digital signature. Mm-hmm. So they would still send me PDF documents scanned into email, which, as you know, email is not secure. Yeah. It is not a secure way to be sending any sensitive information. Absolutely. And, it would just make things that much more difficult. But this is one of the solutions, or one of the problems that you guys are going after, and bringing everyone onto one platform. Yeah,
that's right. And also we're focusing on being brokerage agnostic, because as we're hearing today, almost every known large brokerage is developing something in-house. Mm-hmm. And what we've noticed and witnessed is, yes, they're developing some storage systems, but in the end of the day, the second broker will never want to use a proprietary technology of a competitor. This is why such one place to close a deal should be brokerage agnostic and definitely secure.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that last year when Contactually was bought by Compass, right? Yeah. People got very concerned, which, I mean, I get it. I don't think that they're really going to harvest that. But at the same time, if you're a Realogy, brand agent, do you want to be given that information to Compass?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now is Propy only ideal for residential properties, or can commercial agents or multifamily agents or buyers and sellers also use Propy?
As of now, we're focusing on residential real estate deals. Mm-hmm. We have some shops and parcels, but the main aspect here is to be focused on the consumer, on the end user, not on billion-dollar deals between two corporations.
Is it just because of the structure, or you see maybe more scale in the market when you go residential?
I see that we solve bigger problem and issue for the consumer, for the end user, rather than for corporations as of today.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. I mean, obviously, not everyone needs to buy a business, but there's way more home sales. So for individuals, so it totally makes sense to me. You guys are relatively new still, though. When did you start Propy?
I moved to Silicon Valley in 2016, and this is where actual work started. We very quickly built a prototype with 3 team members. And then in 2017, we did a token sale, raised a fund, a round. The first one actually was with angel investors, with executive from Apple, a real estate investor from Morgan Stanley. And so we were lucky to have amazing people on board early on.
How are you able, because, building a platform and getting people to change their patterns is really difficult. Like, there has to be a strong incentive that pulls people in, or you have to have an incredible network where you can just ask for, hey, can you give this a shot? They like it, and then they tell a friend. Like,
yeah.
Like, how did you get that traction? Because that's really difficult to get people to change how they do that, and especially, I know it gets said a lot, but really, realtors have been doing business how they've been doing business a long time. They don't want to change by and large. You hear this over and over. So how did you get that, early traction?
Yeah, I totally understand. And I cannot imagine how hard it was for DocuSign with the first e-signatures. I believe it was even harder than what we're doing here right now. And the first deals were really historical for us. We frankly were like asking our advisors, please buy this home through our platform. Reaching out to all agents in the Bay Area who we knew personally, like, let's do that. There is a huge incentive, and like, you'll be the first one historical, a lot of PR involved, and so on. But the first deals in the United States were even harder because the majority of even our friends and agents would say, well, I'm not sure if it's legal. So this is why the first deal actually was with kind of a government blessing in Vermont, where we had our first pilot. And the lawyers made a legal opinion letter that blockchain is totally legal. There are blockchain laws supporting the argument. And then after we did the first sale, we didn't have any more problems. So
I see.
Compliance. And then we rolled out a number of first deals in California, in the US, in European Union, in Japan, the first one in Compass, the first one in XP, and so on. So yeah, it was quite a journey. And so initially we had to convince them. Now we got to the point to actually charge for the service.
That's a good one. So you get people to use it. Now you get them to pay to use it. Those are good barriers. if I don't know how much you can go into it, but what was the major concern as to why it would not be legal?
Well, first, agents are very concerned about all the compliance within their brokerage, so they were not sure if they do an entire transaction beyond proper rules, whether it's legal. So our argument would always be like, well, you have the capability to choose different e-signature platforms like DocuSign or Disclosures.io. So you can also choose our platform for closing. Then it was quite a win for us to onboard first title companies to upload all those documents. Also, they had to verify with their compliance team whether they can actually upload the documents to our platform instead of email, which makes sense because there is nothing more riskier than to upload and send documents via email.
I got fortunate early in my career. I had a CEO who at a software company who would talk about email, and he said, all the time, he was like, hey, remember, email in no way, shape, or form is secure or private. And I think he always used this as an extreme example, but like everyone at Enron, anything you ever sent to an Enron employee is in the public domain now forever and ever. So and that's the same way with all these documents. You might do something right as the agent, but what if your client doesn't or someone else doesn't? And you're sending those documents back and forth. That's just not, it's not secure. There's nothing to stop someone, and all you need is someone to get a hold of a password reset, and that could be a not too friendly show.
Yeah, over $1 billion wire fraud is happening annually, and it's increasing with rapid speed. Like FBI reports 2,200% increase in wire and title fraud.
So how does that happen? So this is I saw in your explainer video that it's something, your platform helps prevent wire fraud.
Yeah.
And, I've read stories of this happening to people. And actually one of the Forbes Real Estate Council members, her name is, I can't recall it at the moment, but she wrote about how it almost happened to her. And so walk me through, like, what is happening in wire fraud in real estate transactions? Because, it's supposed to be a pretty common, it's a common transaction. It's not a difficult transaction. So how is it happening?
Well, there are different theories how it's happening. Either there are internal people in the banks overseeing when there is a mortgage approval, or in title companies, or in brokerages. And also there are hackers that are just observing all those links. All those links on Google Drive, Dropbox, and so on. Yeah. Because many of those pieces of information are just public. There are no passwords. So if one hacker is observing the work of, let's say, 10 agents or 20 agents on a daily basis, I guess this is their job to look after transactions. And you can see that it's really, they are very precise on sending the instruction within an hour when it should happen.
Wow. So they have to be seeing the internal documents somehow, and that has a lot to do with being sent back and forth in unsecure channels.
Yeah. And normally for, normally for one transaction, there are over 20 people involved in email communications, like 3-4 on the brokerage side on one side, on buyer or seller. Then with title company, 3-4 assistants, transaction coordinators. So there are so many people involved.
So you trip one person up to give up information the incorrect way, and it can cause a chain reaction.
Yeah.
I fortunately have never experienced that or had to work with a client going through that, but I can only imagine. And obviously, it's not like this is going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah, and everyone in the industry who has never experienced that think that it will not touch their work. But unfortunately, that's a reality. Nonstop, because I'm talking a lot about this topic. I have some friends here in the Bay Area, like whenever they transact, they have like, oh, I remember the fraud case. And, it happened to me today. I got an approval from a mortgage from a bank. And then immediately I got this phishing email. So it's happening. And because everything is getting digitized, it will be worse.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's not something I thought about a lot, but honestly, that's why I went back to that video. I was like, man, that video is so good because it actually, this is a problem that you can't lead gen for on the marketing side because people don't think they need it. So they're not willing to become a lead for it. But once the demand for it is there, when it happens to you, I mean, you don't go backwards. And I think, you kind of talked about DocuSign paving the way for digital signatures, making a platform like yours possible. I'm curious to hear more about the feedback that you've received from lenders and title companies. Obviously, this takes them maybe a little bit outside of the normal workflow. I've had agents and people say, no, we don't do digital signature. You have to print it and this, that, and the other. What's been the feedback from lenders and title companies, and how have you been able to get them to adopt your platform to make this a reality?
Well, for the title company, for them, it's another way of getting a sales channel because they do believe that they can attract more tech-driven agents, tech-driven consumers, and make them happier. And their work is actually not duplicated. They just, instead of sending one document via email, they upload it in our system. So, and they have notifications whenever one document is received and signed. So we actually make their life a bit easier. And agents love this feature. They love the opportunity, the title company to upload document and the consumer to receive it immediately automatically, because what happens normally, agents are receiving those documents and then sending them in some period of time, and thus the consumer loses some time. With us, it happens automatically, and agents know they can go to the platform and check who have signed, who have not, whether they need to ping them.
Yeah, and what about with lenders? Have they...
We actually don't work directly with lenders. We just ask the title company to upload all the mortgage documents to the platform.
So then, there's very little pushback. And obviously, like you said, title companies see this as a sales channel. Yeah. They don't sell anything if nobody's... We're not buying and selling homes. It's rough to be in the title business.
Yeah. With lending companies, we're talking right now with one progressive lender. So we may do some integration in the future, but it's not a current priority.
Got it. No, that's good to know. And obviously, those are players and partners in the transactional process that you can't really move without having them bought in on that is kind of a big deal. You mentioned
more or less we're united in this network of progressive, tech-driven executives that know that the future will come, that the property settlement will happen online with us or without us. So it's better to unite and build the future together.
I love it. Got to have the vision. You'd mentioned earlier, you were talking about some of the first transactions in the U.S. and then you mentioned a few international places you've done transactions. So you're already working outside the U.S. on the same platform?
So let me elaborate on that. We're really focusing on the U.S. market.
You're focused on the U.S.
Absolutely. The focus is in the U.S. Last year, we decided that we want to build our transaction platform adaptive in modules that could be changed, roles could be changed with different names. Because overall, globally, the transaction is all about 3 pillars. It's 1, paperwork, 2, payment, and 3, title deed transfer. So globally, it's all the same process for a real estate purchase. However, the process and steps in between are a bit different. So we decided to focus on building an adaptive platform so that we can work in different states, because in some states, their title companies are closing, in other, attorneys are closing. This is why we decided to actually do first transactions in different regions, so that our team of developers, engineers can learn from actual real-time transactions, what is different, what could be different, and make sure that we build this flexibility. And so,
So you're really staying focused on the U.S., even though you've done international deals.
Yeah.
Does that mean that if someone comes to you with a deal, do you guys say, hey, we're not doing that right now? Or are you able to just still process it?
Yeah. We recently we did 2 international deals, but we'll release news on them in September.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, obviously you have to keep tight relationships in this game. Real estate, in many ways, people say is a relationship industry, and I'm assuming that's had something as an effect on helping Propy grow. But what would you credit your growth to? Like, what's been helping drive adoption?
Great question. I believe the hunger of agents and Silicon Valley culture, probably, because all those agents and real estate executives, they want to be innovative. They want to stay close to the teams that are working on technology. So in our case, the opening door technology was blockchain, and we were, even though there were about 100 projects that were trying to put the real estate on blockchain, we were the first one in the world to do a physical transfer on blockchain. So we got into news many times. And this, I believe, what helped us to bring this brand of innovation. And then obviously we started to build relationships in the real estate industry. And we have many, many supporters, and we're trying to be helpful to them as well. So
yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's how you and I got connected. We were talking about it before we got recording here. Andrew Flackner made the introduction for us. Shout out Andrew and Real Scout, but also a previous guest on the TechNest podcast and good friend. So, but yeah, so obviously, the relationships and working hard through that. And I was looking at that, the media mentions that you guys have featured up on your site. So, and you said the key word, and I couldn't find a better time in the show to ask you, for all of us out there who don't know, what is blockchain?
Great question. For those who don't know what is blockchain, the main thing they need to understand that it's distributed, immutable, new class of database. So you can store transactions and records. And you know for sure that if it's Bitcoin and Ethereum, then the information will be there stored forever and immutable. But blockchain cannot solve all the problems, and it's not a solution for every tech problem. Particularly in real estate, it makes sense, especially as the software is in its immature stage. It's expensive, it's slow. This is why it's perfect for real estate, because obviously it's a high value asset transactions. So we don't have millions of records per second. And it's also affordable for $1 million transaction.
And now one of the challenges, if I understand blockchain correctly, is that in order for it to work, though, you have to get everyone on the same blockchain, though, right? Is that correct? Am I saying that wrong?
Yeah, every blockchain, it's a network of nodes or computers. So every single computer has to sign off on a same transaction and have a record on the same transaction. But those blockchains, they could be different. It's a Bitcoin blockchain, Ethereum blockchain. There are other networks. There are forks of Bitcoin and Ethereum. But whenever, for example, we are a decentralized application that is using network. So when you use Propy, you wouldn't see blockchain almost anywhere till the very, very end. Even though we're using smart contracts for every step, you actually don't see the work of blockchain itself. However, back end, every single record now is immutable. So nobody within a team or hackers can alter data without us to notice it, or anyone to notice it.
So for all the title agents and real estate agents listening to this who got nervous because they heard blockchain, they don't have to know anything about blockchain to be able to use Propy.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, that's beautiful right there. This is what I think the market's been waiting for. We keep hearing the benefits of blockchain, but see, my head starts spinning. I'm like, you guys, I'm just a marketer. You know, I write copy and I do ads. But when you give it to me in a user interface that I don't have to know how to necessarily use that technology, then hey, we're good. This is why I can build landing pages these days, you know?
Yeah, that's a great summary of the main benefit. Though in one point the consumer and the agent sees the address of the blockchain, it's the title deed. So the title company, when they work with us, they receive a QR code with a link to the blockchain and the blockchain address, which is being recorded by the counties. And many, many counties have recorded this new standard of title deed, which we're proud of. And it potentially could literally become an evidence if something is going wrong with a transaction in the future and there are claims. Courts are recognizing those records as evidences.
You know, I love reading the outlier stories in real estate that remind us anything can happen. And there's two that come to mind that I just feel like better records or even clearer records would have solved. There was one, this poor guy, he thought he was buying a really cheap property. I think it was down in Florida. Mm-hmm. And kid you not, he bought a 2 foot wide strip of land in between two homes. Like the local government auctioned it off.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they didn't just let it become part of the two properties sitting there. Well, the houses were connected. So he actually owned the land underneath the garages of these two different houses. I mean, I can imagine being pretty pissed off about that. And the other one recently that came out that it was a little frustrating to hear. It was a deal. It was an institutionalized deal where a portfolio was sold. A record of conveyance. There was a quitclaim deed on a house, and it moved multiple times very quickly between multiple people. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah.
Well, the guy who owned the house was still living there. He's like, I never sold my house.
Yeah.
And they were conveying title multiple times between agents and this nonprofit. But all that was because someone somewhere didn't keep accurate records. Someone somewhere, also probably fraud. But with blockchain, that's you can't just easily do that, right? That prevents that kind of conveyance of title. That's not possible. Yeah,
exactly. And even if so, there are two stages of the transition to the blockchain. The first one is the old system records just getting recorded on the blockchain. And if even it happens, you can immediately, like anyone publicly can immediately notice that the transaction was done. The main problem with county offices here in the United States is that any hacker can alter all data. And imagine there is a person that is dead. And that person would never claim that their house is being referred to a different person. And so we had those requests from county recording offices on bringing all those historical data on blockchain. Because if you change a data record on a conventional database, you won't know that it's changed. With blockchain, it's impossible. It's a chain of new records. This is why it's called blockchain.
I never considered that.
Yeah.
Because as we move from paper to digital, like that is, like you were saying, that transformation is already happening, but not necessarily being done in a secure fashion.
Exactly. And you know about Baltimore attack?
No.
Yeah, a month ago, there were attacks on databases in Baltimore.
Oh, yeah. Was Baltimore the city that was held for ransom?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
So as far as I know, there are no victims in property records, but there was a period of time when property transactions were stopped. A year ago, it happened also in Bulgaria. For about a month, all the records were just stopped.
Goodness.
But some data was actually altered, and the government claimed that they didn't have backup for some reason, and we believe that it's a corruption.
My goodness.
All those cases happening all over the world, but the most worrying part is happening here in the United States, because the majority of European and Asian countries actually have one centralized property registry, and they guarantee the ownership transfer. While
Not
here in the US, we have over 3,000 recording offices with different level of IT knowledge and IT solutions. Some of them paper, some of them with outdated software. And also the county's work is just to record transactions. They actually don't guarantee the conveyance quality. And this is why the cases that you just mentioned are happening.
Oh my goodness. So what is the opportunity in front of you? Like, I'm sure when you're talking with investors and others about this, like, what is the market opportunity for Propy?
The market opportunity is enormous, billions, if not trillions of dollars. We've recently met one interesting company in Australia that succeeded to do some part of the solutions that we are doing. They've been sold half a year ago to Morgan Stanley for $1.6 billion.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So we know that we can absolutely tackle billions of dollars in tackling the wire fraud case globally. But if we just take the sales pipeline with brokerages here in the US, it's definitely a $100 billion opportunity.
That's amazing. I love it. I want to ask you one that's kind of totally off from all the other questions, because obviously you guys have been doing a lot of things right. You're moving forward. You've created this platform. You've got people using the platform. What's one thing that you started trying, or maybe an experiment you ran that didn't work out?
Oh, there were many. There were tons of those.
See, this is how you know. This is how you know it wasn't an easy road, because when you ask this question to someone and they immediately roll their eyes like, oh, which one would you like?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how much time do you have?
Yeah, and that's the beauty of being a part of a startup. Learning experience, like everyday learning, and you fail and you get up and you succeed and then again fail, succeed. So we've done a lot of learnings. One of the sales challenge I would say we had last year, when we were thinking, okay, we'll do like a couple transactions and suddenly all the agents will come and start using the platform. So we put some money into marketing for agents, individual agents. So that definitely was not that was just a too big hope. Yeah. That's one example. They were different in product as well, when we would focus on how a brokerage would benefit the most. So while actually we had to make the agent and the consumer happy first. Got it.
That makes sense. I appreciate you sharing that. And obviously, I'm sure there was 100 other iterations and stories in there, which is always what, that's how you earn your stripes, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely, Nate.
We're going to shift gears here. I want to move into one of my favorite segments of the show. We do this with every guest who comes on, and it's called For the Future. This is where I ask each guest to give their best predictions based on the following 4 questions. Natalia, You ready to play?
Okay. Yeah.
All right, let's do it. All right, first one's easy. Question number 1, what does Propy look like 1 year from now?
1 year from now, sales and growth, thousands of agents, 2 big brands.
Two big brands. Oh, you mean like as brokerages?
Brokerages that fully on, and their agents are using the platform as a mandatory closing tool. Yeah.
Got it. All right. See that she knows the vision. Question number 2, what will the housing market look like 1 year from now?
1 year from one, I do believe the market will be still stable as it is now. Here in Silicon Valley, it keeps growing due to all those IPOs, and it will continue to grow because those executives will actually get their money next year. So it will keep growing. Yeah.
Some of the IPOs this year, that's right. There was like how many 100 millionaires added to San Francisco?
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 3, what's one industry trend you think will continue, but you wish would go away?
Interesting. Well, I don't know here. Go away. Well, I wish the wire fraud trend to go away, definitely. I wish, even though I'm super happy that the real estate industry is getting digitized, but then we give so much opportunity for cyber criminals. So I wish this trend to go away.
All right. You're going to help with that. See, this is why Propy is needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Question number 4, and the last for the future. What's one thing you believe will dramatically change or fade away in real estate as a result of technological advances?
As a result of technological advances, unfortunately, I do believe that agents will start to have less commission because they will have more deals. But then it means that top producing agents will be the professionals that will stay in the industry. And part-time agents, I believe it won't make much sense for them to work in the industry. Also, more and more agents will have more power rather than brokerages. They will be more independent.
It's hard to justify renting a desk anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very difficult.
Brokerages are quite struggling also, competing between each other.
Yeah, we're living at interesting times for the industry. There's certainly a lot of changes happening from every single angle, and I think a lot of things are getting shaken up, and certainly we're already seeing some of that happen. But we're going to move into the last 3 here. These are questions so that our listeners get to know you a little bit better. The first one is, what are you reading?
I'm reading, the last books I really loved are Sovereign Individual. It's on cyber governments, cyber money, 2097 book, which is talking about cryptocurrency, but in a different language. It's fascinating how civilizations were changing from the non-violent to violent, and hopefully to non-violent again. Then those memoirs written by, for example, Lisa Jobs, the daughter of Steve Jobs. I really loved this book, as well as the book Educated. Really touched me. I also love psychological books. The last one I read is The Courage to be Disliked on Adler psychology. These are my recent ones. And of course, tons of books on prop tech and blockchain, like Prop Tech 3 by Aaron Block from Metaprop is the recent one, and Blockchain Billionaires by Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss.
I got a book for you I think that you'll really like. I just started reading it. The author's name is Roger Dooley, and the title of the book is called Friction.
Interesting.
what you guys are focusing on, friction in the transactional process. It's a brilliant book. He's heavily endorsed by Robert Cialdini, so you know that it's going to be good. Question number 2, who are you learning from?
Oh, I'm learning from, I guess, many agents, our customers, brokers from my team, and obviously from all those startup books like Ben Horowitz, Hard Things About Hard Things, Andrew Chen on Twitter. Yeah, I'm very active.
Twitter rants are the best.
Yeah.
I would pay for his tweets. Like if he went private, I would pay for access.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm with you.
No one tell him that. All right.
Yeah, please don't. Yes.
And question number 3, what inspires you?
What inspires me? First, I was very inspired by my mom, even though I was not realizing it till my adulthood. Because she was always independent, very optimistic, no matter what happens. Mm-hmm. And I'm very inspired by all the small wins my team is doing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Natalia, this has been great. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing about Propy and going into a lot of the different issues that you guys are tackling. I mean, you're doing a lot at once, but I see how it can come all together, and I think it's pretty cool. I'm excited to see you guys grow. Before we close out the show, for anyone who wants to either connect with you or learn more about Propy, where do they go and how can they do that?
Yeah. So thank you very much, Nate, for this wonderful conversation and great questions, and for supporting Propy mission. So anyone who has a question, please reach out to me. My email is ceo@propy.com. As my name and surname are very difficult to remember and spell. And propy.com is the website where we have a lot of information.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'll be keeping an eye on you guys for sure from the sidelines. And hoping you guys all the best, and we'll catch you later.
Thank you very much, Nate. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
We're good.
Great.
There we go.
Awesome.
Perfect. All right. I need to practice this one last time. Is it Yaneva?
Huh? Yeah.
Karayaneva.
Yeah, perfect.
Boom.
You made it.
There it is.
Great. Well, I very much enjoyed the conversation. You're very empowering with great mood. Yeah. and you understand real estate, which is
a little bit. Yeah. I've got, I've worked in real estate in a lot of different capacities. I've built homes. I worked in new construction. I worked as an agent. I have real estate rental property. I help other friends manage their properties. Wow. Now I lead marketing at Avail, and we produce software for independent landlords. So, as well as now have some solutions for tenants. So, a lot of different angles in there. But also at the same time, if you spend, I think this will be show 54. Mm-hmm. So you do 50 interviews.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so you know about the industry.
You start learning, it's really interesting because I hear a lot of the same, there's a lot of themes of what people think is happening and what we should be doing or changing or what we should be going after. And also it's interesting that I can almost sometimes pick up on who maybe you read and follow based on what you're saying, because I'm also reading and following the same people. So it's interesting, things like that, kind of crop up. But I also, it's an unfair advantage. People give me insights as to what they're doing because they're sharing about what they're doing. And so then I get to compare and contrast constantly. And it's really a lot of fun. So, but I genuinely, I think it's really interesting. I think that, once you have the agent on board, if the agent's on board and likes it, the consumer works with the agent.
Yeah, true.
if they see the value in the agent. And you're right, it's going to be the high-end agent. It's going to be the high-touch, the concierge agent. And that still exists in travel. Travel agents aren't gone. They went upstream. Everyone else went away because they weren't needed. And there's still plenty of wealth, especially in the US, where this is going to be needed and wanted and desired. And, you know, it'll make the transaction even faster too, which we didn't even get into that, but that's a motivator, especially when you come from the people who buy with either investment perspectives or
flippers. Yeah.
They want that. It's got to be fast because that's your competitive edge as well. If you can close fast, it means more. So
yeah, what do you do?
So we'll have I have one show ahead of you for next week, and then I think yours will probably be 2 weeks out. We'll put together a promo image and have that sent over to you. And then we'll publish it. It'll go out to all the different podcast networks. I won't publish the video at this time. So when it gets published to YouTube, it'll just be a still frame. So it won't be video. We'll post on it our social and that kind of stuff. So you'll see, you'll get a few tags, or whoever manages your social will get a few tags. And
cool. Are you coming to Inman?
What's that?
Are you coming to Inman?
No, I'm not. I had a handful of events on my schedule for this year, and I might be canceling all of them.
Oh.
We're pretty heads down right now, and it's because my favorite events are the CRE-Tech events, all the commercial real estate tech. Michael Beckerman, who puts that together, they bring a lot of the VCs in. The VCs then break down their visions, which then to me is like, they're already having the conversations with everyone, and then they're the ones with the money dictating how those things get built. And so when they forecast their visions, you get really, it's just that much better. It's way better. Inman for me, I don't have much to gain from it. I was thinking about IOI, but I'll probably still pass on that. That's the
I don't know about this one.
Yeah, that one actually is totally up your alley. It's in Seattle in August. Let me see here real quick. I might have a link that I can drop to you before we jump off here so you can have it. There we go. This is a NAR event. Oh,
yeah. We are invited to it.
So August 21, 22nd. Here, I'll drop it in the...
We're with NAR Accelerator, so we know about it. But,
okay. Yep. So you're with, is it Reach or Second Century you're with? Reach.
Both, actually, both.
Yeah, okay. Not confusing. But so I was going to go to that, but because we moved from Seattle, basically, north of Seattle. But I'm not so sure I can make that happen and between everything else. So we'll see. That's
okay. Well, probably you'll come to San Francisco NAR big meeting in November.
Maybe.
Yeah, because we probably will set up our own event as we did now at Inman. We made our own event, Blockchain for Real, only with 30 executives, 4 prop tech VCs.
Okay.
So, speaking of like their opinion, Brett Inman is coming and a few others. So
Ben Kinney going?
Sorry?
Is Ben Kinney going?
I don't know.
He's definitely someone to invite. Ben was who recruited me to become a real estate agent. He's Keller Williams' #1 agent.
Yeah. Okay.
He's based in Bellingham. Yeah, he's a really great guy. If he's got the time, he might, but definitely worthwhile. And he's very tech focused. He has his own CRM marketing platform called Brivity.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you could connect us, I'd highly appreciate.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to get a hold of him. Are you familiar with the Gary Keller Millionaire Real Estate?
I think we're having 101 meeting with him soon.
All right. Well, there you go. You don't need to go to Ben. Go to Gary.
Still top down and bottom up approach, you know.
There you go. There you go. All right. Yeah. Well, that's probably a better ticket for you. Go right to the head of the brokerage. But well, very cool. Yeah, appreciate it. And like I said, we'll reach back out and make sure you get the promo image and let you know when it's live and get you all the links and everything for you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You bet. Yeah, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Bye.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening to the TechNest podcast. Hey, don't forget you can get on the email list so you never miss an upcoming episode. That's technest.io. That's technest.io. Get on the email list. Go to the App Store, whether you found us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, wherever you found us. Leave us a 5-star review and share it with your friends. And if you've got a guest or someone that you'd like to recommend, or if you think that you'd be a great guest on the show, hey, send me an email, nate@realteampanda.com. That's nate@realteampanda.com. See you guys later.